Chapters 3 and 4 starts with a letter from Paradigm Books Ltd, 695 Soho Square, London, W15AS, to Ms. Rebecca Bloomwood, Flat 2, 4 Burney Road, London, SW6, 8FD, 4 September 2000. Dear Becky, you may remember when we spoke 2 weeks ago, you assured me the first draft of your book would be with me within days. I'm sure it's on its way, or has it possibly gotten lost in the post? Maybe you could send me another copy? As far as the author photograph goes, just wear whatever you feel comfortable with. An Agnes B top sounds fine, as do the earrings you described. And thanks for sending me a Polaroid of your orange sandals. I'm sure they will look great. I look forward to seeing the manuscript, and again, let me say how thrilled and delighted we are that you're writing for us. With all best wishes, Pippa Brady, editor. Chapter 3. At 5 to 12 the next day, I'm sitting under the bright lights of the morning coffee set, wondering how much longer we'll be. Normally, my financial advice slot is over by 11:40, but they got so engrossed with the psychic who reckons she's the reincarnated spirit of Mary Queen of Scots that everything's overrun since then. And Luke will be here any minute, and I've still got to change out of this stuffy suit. Becky, says Emma, who's one of the presenters of Morning Coffee and is sitting opposite me on a blue sofa. This sounds like quite a problem. Absolutely, I say, dragging my mind back to the present. I glance down at the sheet in front of me, then smile sympathetically at the camera. So, to recap, Judy, you and your husband Bill have inherited some money. You'd like to invest some of it in the stock market, but he's refusing. It's like talking to a brick wall, comes Judy's indignant voice. He says I'll lose it all and it's his money too. And if all I want to do is gamble it away, then I can go to... Yes, interrupts Emma smoothly. Well, this does sound like quite a problem, Becky. Two partners disagreeing about what to do with their money. I just don't understand him, exclaims Judy. This is our one chance to make a serious investment. It's a fantastic opportunity. Why can't he see that? She breaks off and there's an expectant silence around the studio. Everyone's waiting for my answer. Judy, I pause thoughtfully. May I ask a question? What outfit is Bill wearing today? A suit, says Judy, sounding taken aback. A gray suit for work. What kind of tie? Plain or patterned? Plain, says Judy at once. All his ties are plain. Would he ever wear, say, a polka dot tie? Never. I see. I raise my eyebrows. Judy, would it be fair to say Bill is generally quite an unadventurous person? That he doesn't like taking risks? Well, yes, says Judy, now that you say it. I suppose he is. Ah, says Rory suddenly on the other side of the sofa. Rory is the other presenter of Morning Coffee. He's very chiseled looking and is great at flirting with film stars. But he's not exactly the brain of Britain. I think I see where you're going here, Becky. Yes, thanks, Rory, says Emma, rolling her eyes at me. I think we all do. So, Becky, if Bill doesn't like risk, are you saying he's right to avoid the stock market? No, I reply. Actually, I'm not saying that at all. Because maybe what Bill isn't quite seeing is that there's more than one kind of risk. If you invest in the stock market, yes, you risk losing some money in the short term. But if you simply tuck it away in the bank for years and years, an even greater risk is that this inheritance will be eroded over time by inflation. Aha, puts in Rory wisely, inflation. In 20 years' time, it could well be worth very little compared to what it would probably have achieved on the market. So, if Bill is only in his 30s and wants to make a long-term investment, although it seems risky, it's in many ways safer to choose a balanced stock market portfolio. I see, says Emma, and gives me an admiring look. I would never have looked at it like that. Successful investment is often simply a question of thinking laterally, I say, smiling modestly. I love when I get the answer right and everyone looks impressed. Does that help you, Judy? Says Emma. Yes, says Judy. Yes, it does. I videotaped this call, so I'll show it to Bill tonight. All right, I say. Well, check what kind of tie he's wearing first. Everyone laughs, and I join in after a pause, though I wasn't actually joking. Time for one more quick call, says Emma, and we have Enid from Northampton who wants to know if she's got enough money to retire on. Enid, is that right? Yes, that's right, comes Enid's voice down the line. My husband Tony is recently retired, and I was on holiday last week, just at home with him cooking and so forth, and we got to thinking, how about I retire early too? But I wasn't sure I had enough saved up, so I thought I'd call in. What kind of financial provision have you made for retirement, Enid? I ask. I have a pension which I've contributed to all my life, says Enid hesitantly, and I have a couple of savings plans, and I have a recent inheritance which should see off the mortgage. Well, says Emma brightly, even I can see that you're pretty well set up, Enid. I'd say happy retirement. Right, says Enid, I see. So there's no reason for me not to retire. It's just as Tony said. There's silence apart from her breathing unsteadily down the line, and Emma gives me a quick glance. I know the producer, Barry, must be yelling into her earpiece to fill the space. So good luck, Enid, she says brightly. Becky, on the subject of retirement planning. Just hold on a moment, I say, frowning slightly. Enid, there's no obvious financial reason for you not to retire, but what about the most important reason of all? Do you actually want to retire? Well, Enid's voice falters slightly. I'm in my 50s now. I mean, you have to move on, don't you? And as Tony said, it'll give us a chance to spend more time together. Do you enjoy your job? There's another silence. I do. Yes, it's a great crowd at work. I'm older than most of them, but somehow that doesn't seem to matter when we're having a laugh. Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, cuts in Emma, who's been listening intently to her earpiece. She smiles at the camera. Good luck in your retirement, Enid. Wait, I say quickly. Enid, please stay on the line if you'd like to talk about this a bit more, okay? Yes, says Enid after a pause. Yes, I'd like that. We're going to go to weather now, says Rory, who always perks up as the financial side comes to an end. But a final word, Becky? Same as always, I say, smiling to the camera. Look after your money, and your money will look after you, chime in Rory and Emma. After a frozen pause, everyone relaxes, and Zelda, the assistant producer, strides onto the set. Well done, she says. Great stuff. Now, Becky, we've still got Enid on line 4, but we can get rid of her if you like. No, I say. I really want to talk to her. I reckon she doesn't want to retire at all. Whatever, says Zelda, ticking something on her clipboard. Oh, and Luke's waiting for you at reception. Already? I look at my watch. Oh, gosh. Okay. Can you tell him I won't be long? I honestly don't intend to spend that long on the phone, but once I get talking to Enid, it all comes out. About how she's dreading retirement and how her husband just wants her at home to cook for him. How she really loves her job and she was thinking about taking a computer course, but her husband says it's a waste of money. By the end, I'm completely outraged. I've said exactly what I think several times over, and I'm in the middle of asking Enid if she considers herself a feminist when Zelda taps me on the shoulder, and suddenly I remember where I am. It takes me about another 5 minutes to apologize to Enid and say I've got to go. Then for her to apologize to me and for us both to say goodbye and thank you and don't mention it about 20 times. Then, as quickly as possible, I head to my dressing room and change out of my morning coffee outfit into my driving outfit. I'm quite pleased with my appearance as I look at myself in the mirror. I'm wearing a Pucci-esque multicolored top, frayed denim cutoffs, my new sandals, Gucci shades from Harvey Nichols sale, half price, and my treasured pale blue Denny and George scarf. Luke's got a real thing about my Denny and George scarf. When people ask us how we met, he always says, our eyes met across a Denny and George scarf, which is actually kind of true. He lent me some of the money I needed to buy it, and he still maintains I never paid him back, so it's partly his. Parentheses, which is so not true. I paid him back straight away. Those parentheses. Anyway, I tend to wear it quite a lot when we go out together. Also, when we stay in together. In fact, I'll tell you a small secret. Sometimes we even... Actually, no. You don't need to know that. Forget I mentioned it. As I eventually hurry into reception, I glance at my watch, and oh gosh, I'm 40 minutes late. And there's Luke sitting on a squashy chair, wearing the gorgeous polo shirt I bought him in the Ralph Lauren sale. He's talking intently on his mobile phone and sipping a cup of coffee and frowning at something in the paper. But then he looks up and his dark eyes meet mine and his whole face breaks into a smile. A true affectionate smile, which makes him seem like a different person. When I first knew Luke, I only ever saw him businesslike and polite, or scarily angry, or very occasionally amused. Even after we started seeing each other, it was a long time before he really let his guard down. In fact, the first time he really laughed, I was so surprised I snorted lemonade through my nose. Even now, whenever I see his face creasing into a real smile, I feel a bit of a lift inside. Because I know he's not like that with everyone. He's smiling like that because it's me. For me. I'm really sorry it took so long, I say. I know, says Luke, closing his paper and standing up. You were talking to Enid. He gives me a kiss and squeezes my arm. I saw the last couple of calls. Good for you. You just won't believe what her husband's like, I say as we go through the swing doors and out into the car park. No wonder she wants to keep working. I can imagine. He just thinks she's there to give him an easy life. I shake my head fiercely. I'm never going to just stay at home and cook your supper. Never in a million years. There's a short silence, and I look up to see Luke's amused expression. Or, I add hastily, anyone's supper? I'm glad to hear it, says Luke mildly. I'm especially glad if you're never going to cook me Moroccan couscous surprise. You know what I mean, I say, flushing slightly, and you promised you weren't going to talk about that anymore. My famous Moroccan evening was quite soon after we started going out. I really wanted to show Luke that I could cook, and I'd seen this program about Moroccan cooking, which made it look really easy and impressive. Plus there was some gorgeous Moroccan tableware on sale in Debenhams, so it should have all been perfect. But that soggy couscous, it was the most revolting stuff I've ever seen in my life. Even after I tried Susie's suggestion of stir-frying it with mango chutney, there was so much of it, all swelling up in bowls everywhere. Anyway, never mind. We had quite a nice pizza in the end. We're approaching Luke's convertible in the corner of the car park, and he bleeps it open. You got my message, did you? He says, about luggage. Yes, I did. Here it is. I hand him the dinkiest little suitcase in the world, which I got from a children's gift shop in Guildford. It's white canvas with red hearts stenciled around it, and I use it as a vanity case. Is that it? Says Luke, looking astonished, and I stifle a giggle. Ha! This'll show him who can pack light. All I've got in this case is my makeup and shampoo, but Luke doesn't need to know that, does he? Yes, that's it, I say, raising my eyebrows slightly. You did say, pack light. So I did, says Luke, but this, he gestures at the case. I'm impressed. As he opens the boot, I get into the driving seat and adjust the seat forward so I can reach the pedals. I've always wanted to drive a convertible. The boot slams behind me and Luke comes round, a quizzical look on his face. You're driving, are you? Part of the way, I thought, I say carelessly, just to take the pressure off you. You know it's very dangerous to drive for too long. You can drive, can you, in those shoes? He's looking down at my clementine sandals. I have to admit the heel is a bit high for pedaling, but I'm not going to let him know that. They're new, aren't they? He adds, looking more closely at them. I'm about to say yes when I remember that the last time I saw him I had new shoes on, and the time before that too. Which is really weird. It must be one of those random cluster things. No, I reply instead. Actually, I've had them for ages. Actually, I clear my throat. They're my driving shoes. Your driving shoes, echoes Luke skeptically. Yes, I say, and start the engine before he can say any more. Gosh, this car is amazing. It makes a fantastic roaring sound and a kind of screech as I move it into gear. Becky, I'm fine, I say, and slowly move off across the car park into the street. Oh, this is such a fantastic moment. I wonder if anybody's watching me. I wonder if Emma and Rory are looking out the window, and that sound guy who thinks he's so cool with his motorbike, He hasn't got a convertible, has he? Accidentally, on purpose, I lean on the horn, and as the sound echoes round the car park, I see at least 3 people turn and look. Ha! Look at me! Ha ha ha! My pedal, says Luke beside me, you're causing a traffic jam. I glance into my rear mirror, and there are 3 cars creeping along behind me, which is ridiculous because I'm not going that slowly. Try moving it up a notch, suggests Luke. 10 miles an hour, say? I am, I say crossly. You can't expect me just to whiz off at 1,000,000 miles an hour. There is a speed limit, you know. I reach the exit, smile nonchalantly at the porter at the gate, who gives me a surprised look, and pull out into the road. I signal left and take a last glance back to check if anyone I know has just come out and is watching me admiringly. Then, as a car behind me starts to beep, I carefully pull on at the pavement. There we are. I say, your turn. My turn? Luke stares at me already. I have to do my nails now, I explain in any way. I know you think I can't drive. I don't want to have you pulling faces at me all the way down to Somerset. I do not think you can't drive, protests Luke, half laughing. When have I ever said that? You don't need to say it. I can see it coming out of your head in a thought bubble. Becky Bloomwood cannot drive. Well, that's where you're wrong, retorts Luke. The bubble actually reads, Becky Bloomwood cannot drive in her new orange shoes because the heels are too high and pointy. He raises his eyebrows, and I feel myself flush slightly. They're my driving shoes, I mutter, shifting over to the passenger seat, and I've had them for years. As I reach into my bag for my nail file, Luke gets into the driver's seat, leans over, and gives me a kiss. Thank you for doing that stint anyway, he says. I'm sure it'll lessen my risk of fatigue on the motorway. Well, good, I say, starting on my nails. You need to conserve your energy for all those long country walks we're going to go on tomorrow. There's silence, and after a while I look up. Yes, says Luke, and he isn't smiling anymore. Becky, I was going to talk to you about tomorrow. He pauses, and I stare at him, feeling my own smile fade slightly. What is it, I say, trying not to sound anxious. Luke exhales sharply. Here's the thing. A business opportunity has arisen which I really would like to take advantage of, and there are some people over from the States who I need to talk to urgently. Oh, I say a little uncertainly. Well, that's okay, if you've got your phone with you. Not by phone. He looks straight at me. I've scheduled a meeting for tomorrow. Tomorrow, I echo and give a little laugh. But you can't have a meeting. We'll be at the hotel. So will the people I need to talk to, says Luke. I've invited them down. I stare at him in shock. You've invited business people down on our holiday? Purely for the meeting, says Luke. The rest of the time it'll just be the 2 of us. And how long will the meeting go on? I exclaimed. Don't tell me. All day? I just can't believe it. After waiting all this time, after getting all exciting, after all my packing. Becky, it won't be as bad as that. You promised me you'd take time off. You said we'd have a lovely romantic time. We will have a lovely romantic time. With all your business friends, with all your horrible contacts, networking away like maggots. They won't be networking with us, says Luke with a grin. Becky. He reaches for my hand, but I pull it away. To be honest, I don't see any point in my coming if it's just you doing business, I say miserably. I might as well just stay at home. In fact, I open the car door. In fact, I think I'll go home right now. I'll call a taxi from the studio. I slam the car door and begin to stride off along the street, my clementine sandals making a click-clack sound against the hot pavement. And I've almost got to the studio gate before I hear his voice raised so loud that several people turn to look. Becky, wait there. I stop and slowly turn on the spot to see him standing up in the car, dialing a number on his mobile phone. What are you doing? I call suspiciously. I'm phoning my horrible business contact, says Luke, to put him off, to cancel. I fold my arms and stare at him with narrowed eyes. Hello, he says. Room 301, please. Michael Ellis. Thanks. I guess I'll just have to fly out and see him in Washington, he adds to me in deadpan tones. Or wait until the next time he and his associates are all together in Britain, which could be a while, bearing in mind their completely crazy schedules. Still, it's only business after all. Only a deal. It's only the deal I've been waiting to make for... Oh, stop it, I say furiously. Stop it. Have your stupid meeting. Are you sure? Says Luke, putting a hand over the receiver. Absolutely sure? Quite sure, I say, giving a morose shrug. If it's that important. It's pretty important, says Luke, and meets my eyes. Suddenly serious. Believe me, I wouldn't be doing it otherwise. I walk slowly back to the car as Luke puts away his mobile phone. Thanks, Becky, he says as I get in. I mean it. He touches my cheek gently, then reaches for the keys and starts up the engine. As we drive off toward a set of traffic lights, I glance at him, and then at his mobile phone still sticking out of his pocket. Were you really phoning your business contacts, I say. Were you really going home, he replies without moving his head. This is what's so annoying about going out with Luke. You can't get away with anything. We drive for about an hour into the countryside, stop for lunch in a little village pub, then drive for another hour and a half down to Somerset. By the time we reach Blakely Hall, I feel like a different person. So good to get out of London, and I'm already incredibly energized and refreshed by all this wonderful country air. As I step out of the car, I do a few stretches, and honestly, I already feel fitter and more toned. I reckon if I came to the country every week, I'd lose half a stone, if not more. Do you want any more of these? Says Luke, reaching down and picking up the nearly empty packet of Maltesers, which I've been snacking on. Parentheses, I have to eat in the car, otherwise I get car sick. And what about these magazines? He picks up the stack of glossies, which have been at my feet, then makes a grab as they all start slithering out of his hands. I'm not going to read magazines here, I say in surprise. This is the country. Honestly, doesn't Luke know anything about rural life? As he's getting the bags out of the boot, I wander over to a fence and gaze peacefully at a field full of browny yellow stuff. You know, I reckon I have a real natural affinity for the countryside. It's like I've got this whole nurturing Earth Mother side, which has been gradually creeping up on me. For example, the other day I found myself buying a Fair Isle jersey from French Connection, and I've recently started gardening, or at least I've bought some sweet little ceramic flower pots from the pier, marked basil and coriander, and I'm definitely going to get some of those little plants from the supermarket and have a whole row of them on the windowsill. I mean, they're only about 50 pence, so if they die, you can just buy another one. Ready? Says Luke. Absolutely, I say, and teeter back toward him, cursing the mud. We crunch over the gravel to the hotel, and I have to say I'm impressed. It's a great big old-fashioned country house with beautiful gardens and modern sculptures in the gardens and its own cinema, according to the brochure. Luke's been here quite a few times before, and he says it's his favorite hotel, and lots of celebrities come here too, like Madonna, or was it Sporty Spice? Someone, anyway. But apparently they're always very discreet and usually stay in some separate coach housey bit, and the staff never lets on. Still, as we go into the reception hall, I have a good look around just in case. There are lots of cool-looking people in trendy spectacles and denim, and there's a blonde girl who sort of looks famous-ish, and standing over there, I freeze in excitement. It's him, isn't it? It's Elton John. Elton John himself is standing right there. Only a few... Then he turns around. It's just a dumpy guy in an anorak and spectacles. Damn. Still, it was nearly Elton John. We've reached the reception desk by now, and a concierge in a trendy narrow jacket smiles at us. Good afternoon, Mr. Brandon, he says, and Miss Bloomwood. Welcome to Blakely Hall. He knew our names. We didn't even have to tell him. No wonder celebrities come here. I put you in room 9, he says, as Luke starts to fill in a form overlooking the rose garden. Great, says Luke. Becky, which paper would you like in the morning? The Financial Times, I say smoothly. Of course, says Luke, writing, so that's one FT and a Daily World for me. I give him a suspicious look, but his face is completely blank. Would you like tea in the morning? Says the concierge, tapping at his computer, or coffee? Coffee, please, says Luke, for both of us, I think. He looks at me questioningly, and I nod. You find a complimentary bottle of champagne in your room, says the concierge, and room service is available 24 hours. I have to say I'm very impressed. This really is a top-class place. They know your face immediately. They give you champagne, and they haven't even mentioned my special express parcel yet. Obviously, they realize it's a matter of discretion. They realize that a girl doesn't necessarily want her boyfriend knowing every single package that is delivered to her, and are going to wait until Luke is out of earshot until they tell me about it. This is why it's worth coming to a good hotel. If there's anything else you require, Miss Bloomwood, says the concierge, looking at me meaningfully, please don't hesitate to let me know. You see, coded message and everything. I will. Don't worry, I say, and give him a knowing smile. In just a moment. I flick my eyes meaningfully toward Luke, and the concierge gives me a blank stare, exactly as though he's got no idea what I'm talking about. Gosh, these people are good. Eventually, Luke finishes the forms and hands them back. The concierge hands him a big old-fashioned room key and summons a porter. I don't think we need any help, says Luke with a smile, and lifts up my dinky suitcase. I'm not exactly overburdened. You go on up, I say. I just want to check something for tomorrow. I smile at Luke, and after a moment, to my relief, he heads off toward the staircase. As soon as he's out of earshot, I swivel back to the desk. I'll take it now, I murmur to the concierge, who has turned away and is looking in a drawer. He raises his head and looks at me in surprise. I'm sorry, Miss Bloomwood? It's okay, I say more meaningfully. You can give it to me now while Luke's gone. A flicker of apprehension passes over the concierge's face. What exactly? You can give me my package? I lower my voice, and thanks for not letting on. Your package? My special express. What special express? I stare at him, feeling a few misgivings. The parcel with all my clothes in it? The one you weren't mentioning? The one... I tell away at the sight of his face. He doesn't have a clue what I'm talking about, does he? Okay, don't panic. Someone else will know where it is. I should have a parcel waiting for me, I explain. About this big. It should arrive this morning. The concierge is shaking his head. I'm sorry, Miss Bloomwood, there aren't any packages for you. Suddenly I feel a little hollow, but there has to be a package. I sent it by special express yesterday to Blakely Hall. The concierge frowns. Charlotte, he says, calling into a back room. Has a parcel arrived for Rebecca Bloomwood? No, says Charlotte, coming out. When was it supposed to arrive? This morning, I say, trying to hide my agitation. Anything, anywhere by tomorrow morning. I mean, this is anywhere, isn't it? I'm sorry, says Charlotte, but nothing's come. Was it very important? Rebecca, comes a voice from the stairs, and I turn to see Luke peering down at me. Is something wrong? No, I say brightly. Of course not. What on earth could be wrong? Quickly, I swivel away from the desk, and before Charlotte or the concierge can say anything, hurry toward the stairs. Everything all right, he says as I reach him and smiles at me. Absolutely, I say, my voice 2 notches higher than usual. Everything's absolutely fine. I have no clothes. This cannot be happening. I'm on holiday with Luke in a smart hotel, and I have no clothes. What am I going to do? I can't tell him the truth. I just can't admit that my dinky suitcase was only the tip of the clothesberg. Not after having been so smug about it. I'll just have to improvise. I think wildly as we turn a corner, start walking down another plushy corridor. Wear his clothes like Annie Hall, or rip down the curtains and find some sewing stuff and quickly learn how to sew. Calm down, I tell myself firmly. Just calm down. The parcel is bound to arrive tomorrow morning, so I've only got to last one night. At least I've got my makeup with me. Here we are, says Luke, stopping at a door and opening it. What do you think? Oh, wow. For a moment, all my worries are swept away as I gaze around the enormous airy room. Now I can see why Luke likes this hotel so much. It's gorgeous. Exactly like his flat, a huge white bed with an enormous waffle duvet, and a state-of-the-art music system and 2 suede sofas. Take a look at the bathroom, says Luke, and I follow him through, and it's stunning. A great sunken mosaic jacuzzi with the hugest shower I've ever seen above, and a whole rack of gorgeous-looking aromatherapy oils. Maybe I could just spend the whole weekend in the bath. So, he says, turning back into the room, I don't know what you'd like to do. He walks over to his suitcase and clicks it open, and I can see serried rows of shirts, all ironed by his housekeeper. I suppose we should unpack first. Unpack, absolutely, I say brightly. I walk over to my own little suitcase and finger the clasp without opening it. Or else, I say, as though the idea is just occurring to me, why don't we go and have a drink and unpack later? Genius. We'll go downstairs and get really pissed, and then tomorrow morning I'll just pretend to be really sleepy and stay in bed until my package arrives. Thank goodness. For a moment there, I was starting to... Excellent idea, says Luke. I'll just get changed. And he reaches into his case and pulls out a pair of trousers and a crisp blue shirt. Changed, I say after a pause. Is there a strict dress code? Oh, no, not strict, says Luke. You just wouldn't go down and say in what you're wearing at the moment. He gestures my denim cutoffs with a grin. Of course not, I say, laughing as though the idea's ridiculous. Right, well, I'll just choose an outfit then. I turn to my case again, snap it open, lift the lid, and look at my makeup bag. What am I going to do? Luke's unbuttoning his shirt. He's calmly reaching for the blue one. In a minute, he's going to look up and say, Are you ready? I need a radical plan of action here. Luke, I've changed my mind, I say, and close the lid of my case. Let's not go down to the bar. Luke looks up in surprise, and I give him the most seductive smile I can muster. Let's stay up here and order room service, and I take a few steps toward him, loosening my wrap top, and see where the night leads us. Luke stares at me, his hand still halfway up the buttons of his blue shirt. Take that off, I say huskily. What's the point of dressing up when all we want to do is undress each other? A slow smile spreads across Luke's face and his eyes begin to gleam. You're so right, he says, and walks toward me, unbuttoning his shirt and letting it fall to the floor. I don't know what I was thinking of. Thank goodness. I think in relief as he reaches for my wrap top and gently starts to untie it. This is perfect. This is exactly what Actually, this is pretty bloody perfect. Chapter 4. By 8:30 the next morning, I still haven't gotten up. I don't want to move an inch. I want to stay in this lovely, comfortable bed, wrapped up in this gorgeous white waffle duvet. Are you staying there all day? Says Luke, smiling at me. Not that I don't want to join you. He kisses me on the forehead, and I snuggle down in the pillows without replying. I just don't want to get up. I'm so cozy and warm and happy here. Plus, just a very small point, I still don't have any clothes. I've already secretly rung down to reception 3 times about my special express. Once while Luke was in the shower, once while I was in the shower from the posh bathroom phone, and once very quickly when I sent Luke into the corridor because I said I heard a cat meowing. And it hasn't arrived. I have no clothes, nada, which hasn't mattered up until now because I've just been lounging around in bed. But I can't possibly eat any more croissants or drink any more coffee, nor can I have another shower, and Luke's half-dressed already. I'm just going to have to put on yesterday's clothes again, which is really hideous, but what else can I do? I just pretend I'm sentimental about them, or maybe hope I can slip them on and Luke won't even realize. I mean, do men really notice when you... Hang on a minute, where are yesterday's clothes? I'm sure I dropped them just there on the floor. Luke, I say as casually as possible, have you seen the clothes I was wearing yesterday? Oh, yes, he says, glancing up from his suitcase. I sent them to the laundry this morning along with my stuff. I stare at him, unable to breathe. My only clothes in the whole world have gone to the laundry. When will they be back? I say at last. Tomorrow morning. Luke turns to look at me. Sorry, I should have said, but it's not a problem, is it? I mean, I don't think you have to worry. They do an excellent job. Oh, no, I say in a high, brittle voice. No, I'm not worried. Good, he says and smiles. Good, I say and smile back. What am I going to do? Oh, and there's plenty of room in the wardrobe, says Luke, if you want me to hang anything up. He reaches toward my little case, and in a panic, I hear myself crying, no! Before I can stop myself. It's all right, I add as he looks at me in surprise. My clothes are mostly knitwear. Oh gosh. Now he's putting on his shoes. What am I going to do? Oh, come on, Becky, I think frantically. Clothes, something to wear, doesn't matter what. One of Luke's suits? No, he'll just think it's too weird, and anyway, his suits all cost about £1,000, so I won't be able to roll the sleeves up. My hotel robe? Pretend robes and waffle slippers are the latest fashion. Oh, but I can't walk around in a dress and gown as if I think I'm in a spa. Everyone will laugh at me. Come on, there must be clothes in a hotel. What about the chambermaid's uniforms? Yes, that's more like it. They must keep a rack of them somewhere, mustn't they? Neat little dresses with matching hats. I could tell Luke they're the latest thing from Prada and just hope no one asks me to clear out their room. By the way, says Luke, reaching into his case, you left this behind at my flat. And as I look up, startled, he chucks something across the room at me. It's soft, it's fabric. As I catch it, I want to weep with relief. It's clothes! A single, oversized Calvin Klein t-shirt, to be precise. I have never been so glad to see a plain washed-out gray t-shirt in my life. Thanks, I say, and I force myself to count to 10 before I add casually. Actually, maybe I'll wear this today. That, says Luke, giving me a strange look. I thought it was a nightshirt. It is. It's a nightshirt/dress, I say, popping it over my head. And thank goodness it comes to halfway down my thighs. It could easily be a dress. And I've got a stretchy black headband in my makeup bag, which just about fits me as a belt. Very nice, says Luke quizzically, watching me wriggle into it, a little on the short side. It's a mini dress, I say firmly, and turn to look at my reflection, and oh gosh, it is a bit short, but it's too late to do anything about that now. I step into my clementine sandals and shake back my hair, not allowing myself to think about all the great outfits I had planned for this morning. Here, says Luke. He reaches for my Danny and George scarf and winds it slowly around my neck. Danny and George scarf, no knickers, just the way I like it. I'm going to wear knickers, I say indignantly, which is true. I'll wait till Luke's gone, then pinch a pair of his boxer shorts. So what's your deal about? I asked hurriedly to change the subject. Something exciting? It's pretty big, says Luke after a pause. He holds up a pair of silk ties. Which one will bring me luck? The red one, I say after a little consideration. It matches your eyes. It matches my eyes? Luke starts to laugh. Do I look that rough? It goes with your eyes. You know what I mean. No, you were right the first time, says Luke, peering into the mirror. It matches my eyes perfectly. He glances at me. You'd almost think I'd had no sleep last night. No sleep? I raise my eyebrows before an important meeting. Surely that's not the way Luke Brandon behaves. Very irresponsible, agrees Luke, putting the tie around his neck. Must be thinking of someone else. I watch as he knots the tie with brisk, efficient movements. So, come on, tell me about this deal. Is it a big new client? But Luke smiles and shakes his head. Is it Nat West? I know, Lloyd's Bank. Let's just say it's something I want very much, Luke says eventually. Something I've always wanted, but this is all very boring, he adds in a different tone. No, it's not. Very dull indeed. Now, what are you going to do today? Will you be all right? And now he sounds like he's changing the subject. Well, actually, I think Luke's a bit sensitive about boring me with his work. Don't get me wrong, I think his business is really fascinating. There was this one occasion when it was really late at night and he was telling me about a new range of technical products he was going to represent, and I kind of fell asleep. I think he took it to heart because recently he's hardly talked about work at all. Have you heard the pool is closed this morning, he says. I know, I say, reaching for my blusher. But that doesn't matter, I'll easily amuse myself. There's silence and I look up to see Luke surveying me doubtfully. Would you like me to order you a taxi to take you to the shops? Bath is quite near here. No, I say indignantly, I don't want to go shopping. Which is true. When Suze found out how much those Clementine sandals were, she got all worried that she hadn't been strict enough with me. So I promised not to do any shopping this weekend. She made me cross my heart and swear on my Clementine sandals, actually. I'm going to make a real effort to keep to it. I mean, I should be able to last 48 hours. I'm going to do all lovely rural things, I say, snapping my blusher closed. Like look at the scenery and maybe go to a farm and watch them milking the cows or something. I see. What? I say suspiciously. What's that supposed to mean? You're just going to pitch up at a farm, are you, and ask if you can milk the cows? I didn't say I was going to milk the cows, I say with dignity. I said I was going to watch the cows, and anyway, I might not go to a farm. I might go and look at some local attractions. I reached for a pile of leaflets on the dressing table, like this tractor exhibition, or St. Winifred's convent with its famous Bevington triptych. A convent, echoes Luke after a pause. Yes, a convent. I give him an indignant look. Why shouldn't I visit a convent? I'm actually a very spiritual person. I'm sure you are, my darling, says Luke, giving me a quizzical look. You might want to put on more than a t-shirt before you go. It's a dress, I say indignantly, pulling the t-shirt down over my bum. And anyway, spirituality has nothing to do with clothes. Consider the lilies of the field. I shoot him a satisfied glance. Fair enough, Luke grins. Well, enjoy yourself. He gives me a kiss, and Becky, I really am sorry about all this. This wasn't the way I wanted our first weekend away to be. Yeah, well, I say and give him a little poke in the chest. You just make sure this mysterious deal is worth it. And I'm expecting Luke to laugh or at least smile, but he just gives me a tiny nod, picks up his briefcase, and heads for the door. I don't actually mind having this morning to myself because I've always secretly wanted to see what it's like inside a convent. I mean, I know I don't exactly make it to church every week, but I do have a very spiritual side to me. It seems obvious to me that there's a greater force out there at work than us mere mortals, which is why I always read my horoscope in the daily world. Plus, I love that plain chant they play in yoga class and all the lovely candles and incense and Audrey Hepburn in The Nun Story. In fact, to tell you the truth, a part of me has always been attracted to the simplicity of a nun's life. No worries, no decision, no having to work. Just lovely singing and walking around all day. I mean, wouldn't that be great? So, when I've done my makeup and watched a bit of telly, I go down to reception, and after asking fruitlessly again about my package, parentheses, honestly, I'm going to sue, close parentheses, I order a taxi to St. Winifred's. As we trundle along the country lanes, I look out at all the lovely scenery and find myself wondering what Luke's deal can be about. What on earth is this mysterious something he's always wanted? I mean, I would have thought he's already got everything he wants. He's the most successful publicist in the financial field. He's got a thriving company. He's won loads of prizes. So what could it be? Big new client, new offices, expanding the company maybe. I screw up my face trying to remember if I've overheard anything recently. Then, with a jolt, I remember hearing him on the phone a few weeks ago. He was talking about an advertising agency, and even at the time I wondered why. Yes, it's obvious now that I think about it. He's always secretly wanted to be an ad director. That's what this deal is all about. He's going to branch out from PR and start making adverts. And I could be in them, yes. I'm so excited at this thought I almost swallow my chewing gum. I can be in an ad. Oh, this is going to be so cool. Maybe I'll be in one of those Bacardi ads where they're all on a boat laughing and water skiing and having a great time. I mean, I know it's usually fashion models, but I could easily be somewhere in the background. Or I could be the one driving the boat. It'll be so fantastic. We'll fly out to Barbados or somewhere, and it'll be all hot and sunny and glamorous, with loads of free Bacardi, and we'll stay in a really amazing hotel. I'll have to buy a new bikini, of course, or maybe two, and some new flip-flops. St. Winifred, says the taxi driver, and with a start, I come to. I'm not in Barbados, am I? I'm in the middle of bloody nowhere in Somerset. We've stopped outside an old honey-colored building, and I peer through the window curiously. So this is a convent. Doesn't look that special, actually, just like a school or a big country house. I'm wondering whether I should even bother getting out when I see a nun walking past in black robes and a wimple and everything. A real live nun in her real habitat. And she's completely natural. She hasn't even looked at the taxi. This is like being on safari. I get out and pay the driver, and as I walk toward the heavy front door, I feel prickles of intrigue. There's an elderly woman going in at the same time who seems to know the way, so I follow her along a corridor toward the chapel. And as we walk in, I feel this amazing, holy, almost euphoric sensation coming over me. Maybe it's the lovely smell in the air or the organ music, but I'm definitely getting something. "Thank you, sister," says the elderly woman to the nun, and she starts walking off to the front of the chapel, but I stand still, slightly transfixed. Sister, wow. Sister Rebecca. In one of those lovely flowing black habits and a fantastic clear nun complexion all the time. Sister Rebecca of the Holy... "You look a little lost, my dear," the nun says behind me, and I jump. "Were you interested in seeing the Bevington triptych?" "Oh," I say, yes, absolutely." "Up there," she points, and I walk tentatively toward the front of the chapel, hoping it will become obvious what the Bevington triptych is. A statue, maybe, or a piece of tapestry? But as I reach the elderly lady, I see that she's staring up at a whole wall of stained glass windows, and I have to admit they're pretty amazing. I mean, look at that huge blue one in the middle. It's fantastic. "The Bevington triptych," says the elderly woman. "It simply has no parallel, does it?" "Wow," I breathe reverentially, staring up with her. "It's beautiful. And it really is stunning. It just shows there's no mistaking a real work of art, is there? Real genius just leaps out at you, and I'm not even an expert." "Wonderful colors," I murmur. "The detail," says the woman, clasping her hands, "is absolutely incomparable." "Incomparable," I echo. I'm just about to point out the rainbow, which I think is a really nice touch, when I suddenly notice that the elderly woman and I aren't looking at the same window. She's looking at a much smaller, dingier one, which I hadn't even noticed. As inconspicuously as possible, I shift my gaze to the right one, and I feel a pang of disappointment. Is this the Bevington triptych? But it isn't even pretty. "Where is this Victorian rubbish?" the woman suddenly adds savagely, is absolutely criminal. "That rainbow. Doesn't it make you feel sick?" She gestures to my big blue window, and I gulp. "I know," I say. "It's shocking, isn't it? Absolutely. I think I'll just go for a little wander." Hastily I back away before she can say any more, and I'm sidling back down the side of the pews, wondering vaguely what to do next, when suddenly I notice a little side chapel in the corner. "Spiritual retreat," reads a notice outside, "a place to sit quietly, pray, and discover more about the Catholic faith." Cautiously I poke my head inside the side chapel, and there's an old nun sitting on the chair doing embroidery. She smiles at me, and nervously I smile back and walk inside. I sit down on a dark wooden pew, trying not to make any creaking sounds, and for a while I'm too awestruck to say anything. This is just amazing. The atmosphere is fantastic, all quiet and still. And I feel incredibly cleansed and holy just from being here. I smile again at the nun, shyly, and she puts down her embroidery and looks at me as though waiting for me to speak. "I really like your candles," I say in a quiet, reverent voice. "Are they from Habitat?" "No," says the nun, looking a bit startled. "I don't believe so." "Oh, right." I have a tiny yawn, because I'm still sleepy from all this country air. And as I do so, I notice that one of my nails has chipped. So, very quietly, I unzip my bag, get out my nail file, and start to buff it. The nun looks up, and I give her a rueful smile and point to my nail, silently, because I don't want to ruin the spiritual atmosphere. Then, when I've finished, the edge is looking a bit ragged, so I take out my Maybelline Express dry polish and very quickly touch it up. All the while, the nun is watching me with a perplexed expression, and as I'm finishing, she says, "My dear, are you a Catholic?" No, I'm not actually, I say. Was there anything you wanted to talk about? Not really. I run my hand fondly over the pew I'm sitting on and give her a friendly smile. This carving is really nice, isn't it? Is all your furniture as nice as this? This is the chapel, says the nun, giving me a strange look. Oh, I know, but loads of people have pews in their houses, too, these days. I saw this article in Harper's. My child, the nun lifts a hand to interrupt me. My child, this is a place of spiritual retreat of quietness. I know, I say in surprise. That's why I came in, for quietness. Good, says the nun, and we lapse into silence again. In the distance, a bell starts tolling, and I notice the nun begins murmuring very quietly under her breath. I wonder what she's saying. My granny used to knit things and mutter the pattern to herself. Maybe she's lost track of her embroidery. Your sewing's going really well, I say encouragingly. What's it going to be? She gives a tiny start and puts down her embroidery. My dear, she says, and exhales sharply. And she gives me a warm smile. My dear, we have some quite famous lavender fields. Would you like to go and see them? No, it's all right, I beam at her. I'm just happy sitting here with you. The nun's smile wavers slightly. What about the crypt, she says. Would you be interested in that? Not particularly, but honestly, I'm not bored. It's just so lovely here, so tranquil. Just like the sound of music. She stares at me as though I'm speaking gibberish, and I realize she's probably been in the convent so long she doesn't know what the sound of music is. There is this film, I start to explain, and it occurs to me maybe she doesn't even know what a film is. It's like moving pictures, I say carefully. You watch it on a screen, and there is this nun called Maria. We have a shop, interrupts the nun urgently. A shop. What about that? A shop. For a moment I feel all excited and want to ask what they sell. But then I remember the promise I made to Suze. I can't, I say regretfully. I told my flatmate I wouldn't go shopping today. Your flatmate, says the nun. What does she have to do with it? She just gets really worried about me spending money. Does your flatmate run your life? Well, it's just I made her this quite serious promise a while ago. A bit like a vow, I suppose. She'll never know, says the nun, not if you don't tell her. I stare at her, a bit taken aback. But I'd feel really bad breaking my promise. No, I'll just stay here with you for a bit longer, if that's okay. I pick up a little statue of Mary, which has caught my eye. This is nice. Where'd you get it? The nun stares at me, her eyes narrowing. Don't think of it as shopping, she says at last. Think of it as making a donation. She leans forward. You donate the money, and we give you a little something in return. You couldn't really count it as shopping at all. More an act of charity. I'm silent for a few moments, letting this idea sink in. The truth is, I do always mean to do more for charity, and maybe this is my chance. So it'll be like doing a good deed, I say, just to be sure. Exactly the same. And Jesus and all his angels will bless you for it. She takes hold of my arm. Now, you go along and have a browse. Come on, I'll show you the way. As we leave the side chapel, the nun shuts the door and takes down the spiritual retreat notice. Aren't you coming back? I say in surprise. Not today, no, she says, and gives me an odd look. I think I'll leave it for today. It's just like they say, virtue is its own reward. As I arrive back at the hotel later that afternoon, I'm glowing with happiness at all the good I've done. I must have donated at least 50 pounds in that shop, if not more. In fact, not to show off or anything, but I'm obviously naturally very altruistic. Because once I started donating, I couldn't stop. Each time I parted with a bit more money, I felt a real high. And although it's a completely incidental point, I ended up with some really nice stuff in return. Lots of lavender honey and lavender essential oil and some lavender tea, which I'm sure will be delicious, and a lavender pillow to help me sleep. The amazing thing is, I'd never really given lavender much thought before. I just thought of it as a plant in people's gardens. But that young nun behind the table was quite right. It has such vital life-enhancing properties that it should be part of everyone's life. Plus, St. Winifred's lavender is completely organic, she explains, so it's vastly superior to other varieties. but the prices are much lower than many competing mail-order catalogs. She was the one who persuaded me to buy the lavender pillow, actually, and to put my name on the mailing list. She was really quite persistent for a nun. When I get back to Blakely Hall, the minicab driver offers to help me lug it all in because the box of lavender honey is quite heavy. And I'm standing at the reception desk giving him a nice hefty tip and thinking I might go and have a nice bath with my new lavender bath essence when the front door into reception swings open. Into the hotel strides a girl with blonde hair, a Louis Vuitton bag, and long tanned legs. I stare at her in disbelief. It's Alicia Billington, or as I call her, Alicia Bitch Longlegs. What's she doing here? Alicia is one of the account executives in Branding Communications, which is Luke's PR company, and we've never exactly got along. In fact, between you and me, she's a bit of a cow, and secretly I wish Luke would fire her. A few months ago, actually, she nearly did get fired, and it was kind of to do with me. Parentheses, I was a financial journalist then, and I wrote this piece, so it's a bit of a long story. Close parentheses. But in the end, she just got a stiff warning, and since then, she's really pulled her socks up. I know all this because I have little chats every now and then with Luke's assistant, Mel, who's a real sweetie, and keeps me up on all the gossip. She was telling me only the other day that she reckons Alicia's really changed. She isn't any nicer, but she certainly works harder. She badgers journalists until they put her clients into their stories and often stays really late at the office tapping at her computer. And only the other day she told Mel she wanted a full list of all the company's clients with contact names so she could familiarize herself with them. Plus, she wrote some company strategy report, which Luke was really impressed by. Mel added gloomily that she reckons Alicia wants a promotion, and I think she could be right. The trouble with Luke is, he only looks at how hard a person works and what results they get, and not at what a completely horrible cow they are. In fact, just the other day, I heard him telling someone how reliable Alicia was in stressful situations. Now he's really starting to depend on her. So, the chances are she probably will get a promotion and become even more unbearable. As I watch her come in, I'm slightly transfixed. Half of me wants to run away. Half of me wants to know what she's doing here. But before I can decide, she spots me and raises her eyebrows slightly. And oh gosh, suddenly I realize what I must look like in a grotty old gray t-shirt that, to be honest, looks nothing like a dress. My hair a mess, my face all red from lugging carrier bags full of lavender honey, and she's in an immaculate white suit. Rebecca, she says, and puts her hand over her mouth in mock dismay. You're not supposed to know I'm here. Just pretend you haven't seen me. What do you mean? I say, trying not to sound as disconcerted as I feel. What are you doing here? I just popped in for a quick introductory meeting with the new associate, says Alicia. You know, my parents only live 5 miles away, so it made sense. Oh, right, I say. No, I didn't. But Luke's given us all strict instructions, says Alicia. We're not allowed to bother you. After all, this is your holiday. And there's something about the way she says it that makes me feel like a child. Oh, I don't mind, I say robustly, when something as important as this is going on. In fact, Luke and I were talking about it earlier on, actually, over breakfast. Okay, so I only mentioned breakfast to remind her that Luke and I are going out together, which I know is really pathetic, but somehow, whenever I'm talking to Alicia, I feel we're in some secret little competition, and if I don't fight back, she'll think she's won. Really? Says Alicia, how sweet. Her eyes narrow slightly. So, what do you think of this whole enterprise? You must have an opinion. I think it's great, I say after a pause. Really great. You don't mind? Her eyes are probing my face. Well, not really, I shrug. I mean, it was supposed to be a holiday, but if it's that important... I don't mean the meeting, says Alicia, laughing a little. I mean this whole deal, the whole New York thing. I open my mouth to reply, then feebly close it again. What New York thing? And like a buzzard, sensing weakness, she leans forward, a tiny malicious smile at her lips. You do know, don't you, Rebecca, that Luke's going to move to New York? I can't move for shock. That's what he's so excited about. Luke's moving to New York. But why hasn't he told me? My face feels rather hot, and there's a horrible thickening in my chest. He's going to New York, and he hasn't even told me. Rebecca, my head jerks up, and I quickly force a smile onto my face. I can't let Alicia realize this is all news to me. I just can't. Of course I know about it, I say huskily and clear my throat. I know all about it. But I never discuss business in public. Much better to be discreet, don't you think? Oh, absolutely, she answers, and the way she looks at me makes me think she isn't convinced for a minute. So, will you be going out there too? I stare back, my lips trembling, unable to think of an answer. My face growing pinker and pinker. Then suddenly, thank goodness, a voice behind me says, Rebecca Bloomwood, parcel for a Miss Rebecca Bloomwood. My head jerks around in astonishment, and I don't believe it. A man in uniform is approaching the desk, holding my huge, battered Special Express parcel, which I'd honestly given up for lost. All my things at last. All my carefully chosen outfits. I can wear anything I like tonight. But somehow, I don't really care anymore. I just want to go off somewhere and be on my own and think for a bit. That's me, I say, managing a smile. I'm Rebecca Bloomwood. Oh, right, says the man. That's nice and easy then, if you could just sign here. Well, I mustn't keep you, exclaims Alicia, eyeing my parcel amusedly. Enjoy the rest of your stay, won't you? Thanks, I reply, I will. And feeling slightly numb, I walk away, clutching my clothes tightly to me. I go up to our room, dump the parcel on the bed, and sit next to it, trying to keep perspective on this. Okay, let's just go over the facts. Luke's making plans to move to New York, and he hasn't told me. Yet. He hasn't told me yet. As I think this through, my numbness starts to melt away. Of course, he's probably planning to tell me everything this evening, waiting for the right moment. That's probably why he brought me here in the first place. He couldn't know that Alicia would stick her oar in, could he? Feeling better already, I reach for a complimentary packet of biscuits, tear it open, and begin to munch one. It's like they say, don't run before you can walk. Don't cross bridges before you come to them. Don't do that other thing you shouldn't do. I've just finished my third biscuit and I've switched on the television to watch Ready, Steady, Cook when the door opens and Luke comes in. His eyes are sparkly and he seems full of a suppressed energy. I stare at him feeling a little weird. I'm sure he's going to tell me. He wouldn't just move to America without saying anything. Did your meetings go well? I say, my voice feeling false. Very well, thanks, says Luke, taking off his tie and throwing it on the bed. Let's not talk about that. He smiles at me. Did you have a good day? Fine, thanks. You want to go for a walk? Come on, I haven't seen you all day. He reaches for my hand, pulls me up off the bed, and puts his arms around my waist. I've missed you, he says, against my hair, and his arms tighten around my body. Have you? I give a little laugh. Well, perhaps I should come to your meetings and hear what they're all about. You wouldn't enjoy them, says Luke, returning my laugh. Come on, let's go out. We head down the stairs and out of the heavy front door and start walking over the grass toward a group of trees. The sun is still warm and some people are playing croquet and drinking Pimm's. And after a while I take off my sandals and walk along barefoot, feeling myself relax. Are you hungry? Says Luke casually as we get near a large oak tree. And I'm about to reply, no, I've just had 3 biscuits, when I see it, waiting for us in the long grass. A red and white check picnic blanket, a little wicker hamper, and is that a bottle of champagne? I turn toward Luke in disbelief. Did you? This, says Luke, touching my cheek, is in some small way to make up. You've been so incredibly understanding, Becky. It's alright, I say awkwardly, if it was for something as important as, I hesitate, whatever amazing opportunity this might be. I look at Luke expectantly. This is the perfect moment for him to tell me. Even so, says Luke. He moves away and reaches for the champagne bottle, and I sit down, trying not to give away my disappointment. I'm not going to ask him. If he wants to tell me, he can. If he doesn't want to, then he must have his reasons. But there's no harm in prompting him, is there? I love the countryside, I exclaim as Luke hands me my champagne, and I love cities, too. I gesture vaguely in the air. London, Paris. Cheers, says Luke, raising his glass. Cheers. I take a sip of champagne and think quickly. So, you've never really told me much about your family. Luke looks up a bit surprised. Haven't I? Well, there's me and my sister and Mom and Dad. And your real mother, of course. Casual, Becky, casual. I've always thought she sounds really interesting. She's a truly inspiring person, says Luke, his face lighting up. So elegant. You seen the picture of her? She looks beautiful, I nod encouragingly. And where is it she lives again? I wrinkle my brows, so I can't quite remember. New York, says Luke, and takes a swig of his drink. There's a taut silence. Luke stares ahead, frowning slightly, and I watch him, my heart thumping. When he turns to me and I feel a spasm of fright, what's he going to say? Then he turns to me and I feel a spasm of fright. What's he going to say? Is he going to tell me he's moving thousands of miles away? Becky? Yes, I say, my voice half strangled by nerves. I really think you and my mother would love each other. Next time she's in London, I'll be sure to introduce you. Oh, right, I say, that would be really great. And morosely, I drain my glass. Then the next page, a letter from Enwich Bank to Ms. Rebecca Bloomwood, 8 September 2000. Dear Ms. Bloomwood, thank you for your letter of 4 September addressed to Sweetie Smeethy, in which you ask him to rush through an extension of your overdraft, quote, before the new guy arrives, end quote. I am the new guy. I am currently reviewing all customer files and will be in touch regarding your request. Yours sincerely, John Gavin, Overdraft Facilities Director.